Okay, I want to make a video on Queen Anne's lace, which is known as wild carrot. And, there's different types of this plant, but how you can tell it's not the poisonous one is that if it has like a little tiny purple flower in the middle, it's not the poisonous one. Because there's another similar plant that's poisonous. So, because these have like the little purple dot in the middle, and you can see it really well on this one. When they're fully mature, they have the purple dot on some of them. It's not so easy to tell. But that's the real Queen Anne's lace. And some people, they get negative side effects from it. Me personally, I never had any negative side effects from the plant. And, in a past relationship, during an ex I was with during the lockdown, the plant was just tremendously helpful. So I know for me personally, it really did a great job of making sure that my ex Tyrone did not succeed at giving me any children, because he's one of them kind of guys where he's wealthy but also very, very stingy. And he has never been married to anyone. He's 55 years old, barely sees his kids, who are all adults now. And, he, instead of opening a local business, he still holds on to his career that I'm not going to say, which is legal, very decent, and requires a lot of travel. Okay, so he's a morally upstanding citizen. But, he's probably going to die alone because of his lifestyle. He's probably going to die alone. And I'm not trying to lay up under someone like him, whether it's high income or low income. I'm not trying to be laid up under someone like that. I'm trying to be a long-suffering wife or a long-suffering girlfriend. That is not me. I know it can be really hard out here for men and for women in this life, in this world. And I know the real reasons why in some cases, But I just wanted to do the video on identifying the herb and how easy it is to find the herb, like just as a common weed growing everywhere. Because this is wisdom that our indigenous ancestors had. And by indigenous, I do mean the Asiatic tribes and the Negro tribes and the biracial tribes who have lived in America for more than 50,000 years. And traded with Europe and all kind of nations. That's what I mean by indigenous ancestors when I say that. I'm talking about the black people who built the pyramids of North and South America, and the Asians, and the biracial tribes that all look kind of different. And this is how they prevented pregnancy outside of marriage. This is how the women carried out their selective breeding. And obviously we can see that the selective breeding of the women was a huge success because they had advanced sciences, they had advanced technology, they had contact with advanced civilizations from other worlds, and we have evidence of that in museums that's been disclosed to the public now. These women, they had a lot going for them. And then you look at today's world, and it's a hot mess because women are no longer taught how to do selective breeding beyond just looking for a man who's going to slow down long enough to talk to them for 10 minutes or spend money on them, and that's not enough. Like here in Ohio, a 10-year-old little girl was recently denied an abortion this week here in Ohio, only 10 years old and already pregnant. And that's a goddamn shame. And, there are a lot of situations and a lot of circumstances that healthcare workers see every day, and they're not allowed to speak on it because they're bound by HIPAA laws. But if people of all races really knew the truth about what was going on, if their healthcare workers were not bound by silence, then people would know the truth about like 6-year-old and 10-year-old little girls getting knocked up and incest and all kinds of stuff going on among all four races. They don't have a clear sense of what's really going on in reality a lot of times. And that's why we need knowledge of the natural birth control methods like Queen Anne's lace, because, and how to pick out the real one and not the poisonous look-alike. And we need that knowledge because, again, like I said, this helped our female ancestors to do a level of selective breeding that a lot of times is not available to our people today. You take one shitty asshole with a low IQ or a bad temperament or just overall garbage bag character, whether he has money or not, and then you gonna leave that motherfucker to raise a community. Okay, of course you're gonna get a train wreck and a disaster out of that, obviously. That's why, and a good example of that would be like, okay, I know this one girl. I'm not going to say what she does for her career, and I'm not going to say her name or anything. But there's this one girl who's not in the state of Ohio. She's not in my social media friend list, but I talk to her, just not through social media. And her brother used to chase her through the house trying to pull her pants down when she was only 5 years old. And, so she grew up seeing a lot of situations, and then she had a female cousin who was trying to molest her because the female cousin had been molested by her own father. This is a girl who has a lot of chaos in her family, and that's not all religion's fault. That's not all monogamy's fault, because when you look at polygamous nations overseas, they be gay raping little boys in elementary school age, kindergarten toddlers, and molesting little kids. They got incest. They got all them same problems in those polygamous communities. The only difference is that the women are more likely to protect the men who do it and to beat down the little boy or the little girl if they tell. That's the only difference. And that's why it's so important for women to know what herbs they can use for blocking the implantation of an egg. So that way, if they're in a relationship and if there is something unplanned, or if they're with a man who's trying to get her pregnant intentionally, which does happen quite a bit, because there are a lot of men, especially black men, who wholeheartedly believe in getting you pregnant intentionally and leaving when he knows that he does not want a family with you. He does not want monogamy with you. He don't want polygamy with you. He don't want nothing with you. He just wants to use you as an oven to make a body so that he can hopefully maybe have a son to run around with. And that's how a lot of them think. And it's spiritually, they look at that as a sacrifice when they do that to you, where they want to use you as an oven to produce a body, no matter how much damage it does to your finances, your future, your emotions, whatever, and then put all their effort in there, whatever level of emotion they may or may not have, into one or more other people. That this is their way of life, this is what they believe in, basically sacrificing you in that manner. And although abortions are now illegal and now people cannot so easily hide the fact that they're getting little 6 and 10-year-old kids pregnant, there are still natural options that don't involve messing with your hormones and that don't involve toxicity. It's, and in my personal opinion, Queen Anne's lace and not the poisonous lookalike, it's really great and awesome, in my opinion, for preventing issues. As long as it's taken in the proper way and consistently, and during the couple of weeks before your period is due. And so, there are a lot of men of different races that come from very, very, very incestuous families on both sides of the ocean, okay? There's men who have a lot of pedophiles of both genders in their community on both sides of the ocean. Don't let them discourage you from refusing to choose them. Don't let them discourage you from holding on to your culture and not theirs. And by your culture, I mean your indigenous culture, in which men do not have more than one wife if they're not a leader, period. If you're a leader, okay, yeah, maybe you can have more than one. You can have multiple ladies, especially if they're injured and, or elderly, disabled, whatever, they ain't got nobody to take care of them, or it's a widow, she ain't got nobody to take care of her. Okay, you're a community leader, you can do that, but that African, European, and the Arab shit, and it is shit, which involves guaranteeing multiple women, even if a man is not a leader, even if he's not wealthy. Okay, that's not your culture. If you are descended from the Negroes who built the North and South American pyramids, if you're descended from the Asiatic tribes of America, that is not your culture to be guaranteeing 2 or 10 or 30 or 100 women to some motherfucker who is a narcissist and not a leader and not materially wealthy and not responsible. It's not your culture to guarantee that to them. And the dudes who need that lifestyle to be guaranteed to everyone, like I said, they're probably from families that got a lot of incest. And I've known a lot of people like that over the years. And I know sometimes with young people, adults will do stuff that's really fucked up just because they want to dull your light or extinguish your light. You got some people, they just get off on trying to target a child of God and trying to just grossly corrupt them or force them into a position to possibly do something really sick, because They're jealous. They don't want you to be shit. They hate your light. They hate how much you care. They hate how much you try. So then they want to do their best to corrupt you. And there's children who get targeted for that. You know, we know this. And in spite of what's been wrong and what's been out of balance for far too long, we still have to try. You know, we still have to.